Yo, what up, what up? All right, so this is what we're gonna do in this video right here. I had a comment come in by a subscriber, and I feel that it's necessary that we bring this one out to the people to build the proper understanding of self-positive awareness and self-positive motivation. All right, that's what I'm bringing to the table. I'm not asking you to believe in any other thing out there but yourself. All right. So when you come against what I'm trying to speak on, it's clear that you might not know who you are. You might not have an understanding of how much power you have within yourself, and you might be relying on other things. Because what I'm trying to kick to you is that you have the power within yourself to triumph through any situation, any circumstance, any challenge that you come across. It's going to start from here, and it's going to pave out however you want it to, based on what you're plugging in your thoughts, right? So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna really give y'all a clear understanding. So at the end of this video, you're gonna gain the understanding of what self-positive awareness is and what self-positive motivation actually is and how it works for you, all right? You could still believe in whatever you want to believe in, whatever you choose to believe in. Just getting you to build some confidence in who you are, all right? So I had a comment come in, and I figured the way that we're going to tackle this comment is we going to jump at it from the very beginning of the point that I'm trying to make, all right? So let's go into the comment, and then I'll go into the individual points that I want to kind of target in what I'm trying to say. So, really, I don't care really to put the person's name out there. Maybe they don't want it out there. But if you go in, you'll obviously find the comments, right? But it says, if there were 4 robberies down one alley last week and you think I could be the 5th, this person's making a comment on a previous video I made where I explained an example of if you were to come into a situation where there's a dark alley. All right, let's not put robberies, anything on it. Let's just say, down this alley, down this block, down this street, and you could get that to relate to anything in your life. You notice that you know that people in the past have come across problems, other people. So number one, you never use someone else's experience to dictate your experience, because they ran through problems. You never relate that to you, because if you are at one with God, you already know you should be safe, right? All right, let's keep it moving though. So he explains that, he says, I could be the 5th. I'm not sure we call that self-doubt or the devil. It sounds more like common sense. So he's basically explaining, if he approached the street and he knows that there's frequent robberies on that street, in order for him to not be the next one, he wants to do whatever's necessary in order to make that not happen. Now, for a lot of people's understanding, they might look to the burner. They might grab the gun. They might grab the knife just to get down that street, because they know in someone else's experience, they've come across problems. That other person may not have been bringing in the right thoughts. That's why they ran into those situations. But you are different. If you are at one with God, you are bringing in those positive thoughts. You are recognizing the self-positive awareness. Then that's going to push you to do whatever you feel is best. Now, if it's for you to choose your gun and take that out, that's on you. All right, and we'll get more into that. So what this person's basically explaining is this, they're saying it's common sense, right? It's known to have frequent things based on the numbers, frequent challenges on this street based on the numbers. So it's best that they pack something just for their protection, right? And they say that it's more like common sense. I hear hoofbeats. I tend to think horses, not zebras. If you leave the house and see rain clouds and you go back inside for an umbrella, you're not doubting yourself, you're using your head. You can say trust in God, but I'm sure God also wants us to use the intellect and the reasoning he gave us. Amazing physique, by the way. All right, listen. So I know I got a little bit into his comment, but I need to rewind. Let's rewind. And I'm gonna take this one slow, all right? Because I do have listeners now, people who, I guess you're building familiarity with what I'm saying and explaining and building an understanding of what I'm trying to build within you. It's just self-positive awareness, all right? Just you believing in yourself and understanding that you can get to anything you want to do, have, and become in your life. That's all I'm explaining. So in this situation, my man is basically saying it's common sense to have, you know what I'm saying, whatever whoop-de-whoop to ride down the street. Let's rewind back to awareness, all right? Let's talk about awareness real quick, because what I preach is that you should not have any of that knowledge of the robberies in your mind. You shouldn't know about it. All right? You need to block all that out some way, somehow. Get away from the people that talk about it. Don't watch the news that's affiliated with it. Don't listen to the radio that's affiliated with it. Don't sit next to that person that gossips at work that talks about it. And don't let it entertain your mind, right? So when you approach that street, regardless of whatever has happened in the past on that street, your connection with God dictates what's going to happen to you when you walk down that street, which is nothing, right? Now, let's say by chance you happen to hear through the grapevine what was going on down that street, all right? I already told you to block it all out as best as you possibly can, but somehow, some way, it managed to spill into your mind. Somebody at work was talking about it, how the street you normally go down when you walk home has had frequent robberies on it, and you're suspecting, what should you do? Should you pack a burner? Should you pack, you know what I'm saying? How should you go about handling this? And what I want you to gain that understanding from is the awareness, right? Once you become aware of what's going on that street, gives it that power on you. Remember, I said when you're not aware of it, you just walk down the street like nothing happened, and your connection with God dictates where you end up. Existence is everything, right? Consciousness, awareness. I'm gonna give you a quick example of how this awareness is recognized. And I've been through it time and time again. I figure this is one of the easiest examples to build a good understanding on awareness, why you want to block things out. And when something is blocked out, you can gain an understanding that it's not going to enter your world if you have no awareness of it. Now, let's talk about this. Can anybody tell me what I have in my closet right now? All right, we're going to talk about just awareness, why I tell you to block these things out. Anybody tell me? Drop it in the comments before you even know what's in my closet right now. Probably don't know, right? So then you ask, what's in my closet? Does that exist? Does that exist to you? So it exists to me because I'm aware what's in the closet, right? I'm aware of it. So it exists to me. But it doesn't exist to you because you aren't aware of that. All right, I went through this with some kid at my job. So come walk with me real quick. We're going to see what's in my closet. Now, when you figure out what's in my closet, when you become aware of what's in my closet, that makes it exist to you. But right now, it's non-existent. Doesn't exist, right? So walk with me real quick. I'll show you how we do this. Whoop-de-whoop. Check me out. So it's an orange iPad. All right. Now that you are aware of the orange iPad, it is now in existence to you because you're aware of it. You know that that iPad is in my closet. But before I showed you that iPad, that didn't exist to you. I keep saying to you because somebody's going to say, well, it exists. It is there. Well, it doesn't exist to you until you become aware of it, okay? Now, I had this guy on my job try to question that, and he said, well, what about the planets? You know, like, what about like Neptune and Uranus? He said, you can't see those planets, but how could you say that they don't exist? I said, well, I didn't say that they didn't exist. It's not the fact that the planets don't exist. They do. They're going to be up and out there somewhere, right? Because at some point in time throughout my life, I gained awareness that those planets are out there. And that's what makes it something that's existing to me. He tried to bring up Japan. He said, all right, well, there's millions of people in Japan right now. Are you telling me nobody's out there because you don't know them? They're non-existent to you, you're not aware? I said, yeah, I am aware of that, who is in Japan. Not personally, but at some point in time in geography class, when they ran over the lesson covering population, they went across Japan, and I got an idea of how many people are actually there. So when you ask me, do the people in Japan exist? Of course they exist to me because I am aware that they are out there. I've built that awareness some point in time in school. I didn't go there and physically see them, but the awareness was brought to me by the knowledge from a book, a school, a lesson, something of that nature. So once you gain awareness, it becomes existent to you. This is why I tell you to block things. Block as much as you can. Block all the negative things you can and drown your life with the positive thoughts, the self-positive awareness, the self-positive motivation, and get yourself closer to your goals. Don't get caught up in what's out there in the world mind, all right? So what I'm trying to get you to understand now is if you have tried to push all the negative out and it managed to spill in, now you're dealing with a different animal, all right? You're dealing with a different animal. And I say that because now that you are aware of what's down that street, now you fight with man's worst enemy, which is fear, okay? So when this guy explained to me that he heard 5 people were robbed on that street, so he wants to possibly get something necessary, firepower, whatever, this, that, and the third, bring it out there, use something other than God, is what I'm explaining. That's going to display fear. When you got to realize man's number one enemy is fear, okay? Fear is only inverted faith, all right? The belief in evil over good is all that it is. If you believe in good over evil, then you have faith and you believe in positive things, those things that you want to happen to you. So for this guy who wants to not be the 5th guy and he wants to make sure he has his umbrella if it's raining, when you go out there, you know what I mean? When you get out there, it's on you and your connection with God. Now, we need to talk about this one. God is personalized through man and as man, okay? So if you actually say, yo, I know, because he has it in there. He says, oh, I know you said trust in God. But he explains, well, God gave me the knowledge to get these other things, right? He said God gave him the knowledge to get whatever is necessary. Let's say it be the burner, the gun, to go down the street to feel protected, right? Here we go. So he says God said to get the gun and he'll be protected. But who's really the protector? Who's his God? Is it the gun? Or is it his God? The God within him? So that's where I'm trying to get you to gain the understanding. If he built the courage and the proper connection within himself, then he will have no fear going down that street. How many people walk up and down through the hood with no burner and do not get robbed and nothing happens to them? Nothing happens. Old granny from down the block for years going up and down, got the $50 in her pocket. They know she's going to the grocery store. Nobody don't rob her. Nobody don't, you know what I'm saying? Nothing don't happen to her. You got to understand why. There's certain people things don't happen to. There's certain people that things do happen to. And it's coming in from the mind. It's plugging in from what you have going on up here. So you hit that point and you don't want to be the 5th one. Fear is the last thing you want to resort to, because you're going to find that once you let fear get in, that's it. That's when you start thinking like the devil, acting like the devil, because as a man thinks, so is he. So if you think fear, you think evil. As a man thinks, so is he. That fear drums up those thoughts. Oh, he might come at me this way. Oh, he might come at me that way. All that self-doubt. You're doubting yourself. The man who's trying to, he's coming at me saying, yo, I don't want to be the guy who's out there and he's caught lacking. You doubting your connection with God. You doubting the connection with yourself. It's recognizing the God within you. All right. I deal, and this is where we might lose some more people. I deal with the God within me. All right. I always say God in me is my supply. He walks with me. He talks with me. He says that I'm one of his own. It's all in here. All right. For those that report to the other gods, the other ones, the ones that you push on your circumstances. Oh, this happened to me because of this. Oh, this happened to me because of that. This happened to me because of that. I understand when you want to take the blame and push it on something else. But that's the devil coming in, throwing out the self-doubt. You throwing out excuses, things of why you can't do this, why you can't do that. The circumstances getting in your way. But you can triumph through any circumstance, any challenge, but it's all mental. It's about what you're plugging in, right? And a lot of people say, well, I know that things are happening to me, but I didn't necessarily put them in my head. That's another one that I tend to get. It's easily explained. Because if anybody were to hate a song and hate it so much you don't want it in your head, the first thing you find that happens is it gets stuck in your head, especially the one that you least are likely to memorize, least likely to like. That's all what sinks into the subconscious, because what ends up being the case is your subconscious is eating every second, every moment of the day, and it feeds on whatever the world mind shoots at it. So if you're watching lack, want, and limitation on the television and getting it all in social media, that's what your mind dissolves, absorbs, and gives back. You'll find that those things tend to eliminate once you eliminate the things that trigger it. When you push in the direction of surplus, success, love, money, when you push in the direction that you want to go in, you find that that's something that you got to work on. You have to drown out the negatives. You have to drown out the negatives. There's no adding and subtracting. There's adding, but there's no subtracting. There's only multiply, divide, and adding. All right. So for this man that wants to grab the burner and go down the street, his connection with God is different than the connection that I have with my God within me. You are personalizing the God through you and as you, and that's what you know God to be, right? Everybody has their own version of who God is. They came on my channel talking all this stuff about how I'm wrong about what I'm saying, but it's all right to me. Again, I personalize God through me and as me. He's within me, all right? The power is within the mind, the power of awareness, the power of being. This is what's gonna help you gain that understanding that if you're in a situation like this, okay, first off, you wanna block out all the negative thoughts and try as hard as you can. And when they actually sink in, that fear, you let that fear sink in you, recognize what you do after the fear sinks in. You go and you do real different things. If the fear doesn't sink in, you just walk down the street. If no fear sinks in, you just walk down the block. When fear sinks in, you want to go get something necessary to make it what you're thinking of not happen. You want to go and, and then what ends up happening is what you end up fearing is what you draw closer to you. Okay, everything that I'm saying today is going to come in one after the other. You know, I'm glad I got listeners, people that's going to take time, sit out the whole 20 minutes and gain an understanding of what I'm bringing to the table. So at this point where this man decides to doubt himself, I don't want to be the fifth one. I already know I'm not the fifth one. I'm going to proceed down the block and I'm good. Nothing else necessary but Jesus in my pocket. Other people want to take it in a different way, shape, and form. Okay? That's what I'm trying to get you to understand. That person is looking at the God in themselves and they're striking up fear. They're having self-doubt. They're letting the devil come in and take over. They're doubting themselves that they can make it down that block with no burner. They're doubting themselves. They want to put the power within the burner, right? Even when they get caught up, damn, I have my burner on me, but ain't nobody really talk about having God with them. It's like, yo, that's the outlet. That's the outlet. Because that fear of what could possibly happen is going to draw it right on to you. Because that's the constant thought that you think of, right? You holding that gun like, yeah, ain't nobody going to get me, because if he pulls out, I know I'm going to pull out first, and then I'm going to cock it back, and you're paving out what's going to unfold. And those who are out there and live that life and watching this video, you know I'm speaking the truth, because as things fell on you, you know that as they fell on you, you thought about them first. Just like I explained with the song, it may not come in as something you sit down and bring in purposely, but it could be something that spills into your subconscious as you scroll, spills into your subconscious as you walk into Mom Duke's room and she's listening to the news. These things come into your subconscious, and you will learn eventually, with enough positivity, the self-positive awareness, how to block it. And when you block it, that will help reject some of those things that you would normally see coming into your life, and you won't find them coming on you. You'll find your experience starts to change. The God within you starts to take over a more positive change and control, and that takes you more in the direction that you want to go. All right. So I figured I'd nip this one in the bud. It took me a good 20 minutes. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, he's very scared, okay? To leave the comment in here the way that it was left about not wanting to be the next victim is taking outside circumstances, taking someone else's experience and trying to make that yours. Why would you do that? Why can't you go out in the world and gain your own experience? I know people that walk through very dangerous neighborhoods and things happen, and people that walk through very dangerous neighborhoods and nothing happens. What's the difference? You're going to tell me, oh, the time, you're going to start making up excuses to try and figure out why one thing happened to one person and one thing didn't happen to another. We've seen all types of crazy scenarios that don't add up to what I was given in the comment, right? Having that extra something on you going down that block still doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be safe, right? The only way you're going to be safe is having that sense of security within, having a de-stressed body, your heart rate at a very normal pace as you walk down very treacherous, dangerous gutter, holding a wall. That's what I'm talking about. Walking through them valleys is where I'm talking about you going through and not feeling no stress on your chest. That's only going to come from you and your connection with God. How much protection do you have? And then you might come out and say, well, you crazy. How could you walk through such a dangerous place and not take anything? You're not going to take nothing, no type of protection, nothing with. I don't think those thoughts. I don't think anything's going to happen to me. Why would I want to think that? What would push me to think like, oh man, you know, something could happen? What could happen? As many possibilities as I could come up with. I could say it for 24 hours and think about what could happen to me down a dark alley. How long would I want to stay stuck on those thoughts? Oh, as long as I need to build awareness of that. Nah, you want to leave that awareness alone and build the awareness of the positive things that is bound to happen. See yourself walking through whatever area, facing whatever challenge, and triumphing right through it. That's what you want to see yourself going through. I use the dark alley as anyone's dark situation, anyone's challenge, anything that somebody's going through that they're trying to push past and they're being held up by fear. And again, you know, the belief in fear is only inverted faith. It's the belief in evil over good. That's not how you want to think. Think about it. Anytime you're scared of anything, or you see the yellow light, then you see the red light, and then you say, oh, I don't know if I want to run it. That's self-doubt. That's self-doubt. I mean, with the God in you, run it. You're going to be protected. Just don't have the thought of anything wrong happening to you and you go in the right direction. That's just how the walks of life end up paving out, right? There's many times in your life you'll find that the fear is not heightened as if somebody was coming after you, but you face it in different ways, like from an orange light to a red light, and do you go or not go? Okay? Self-doubt doesn't have to be as extreme as you get into that dark alley wondering if you should cross or not, and are you brave? Well, the connection, again, with God, who is personalized through you and as you, and that's within you, is what's going to get you to the next level. I don't need anything else other than Jesus in my pocket. Whatever you need, you take it and you pack it, all right? That's how it runs, and that's how it works with me. But I'm going to get up off this one. I think it was long enough. Hopefully, y'all gain the full understanding, all right? When it comes down to it, try to block it out as much as you possibly can. And when it falls on your lap, understand that fear is only going to push you in a direction to think devilish thoughts, and thinking devilish thoughts make you act in a devilish way, all right? Think good thoughts and you walk and talk in a positive way. All right? Don't see yourself or anything happening to you in those challenging situations. Your first day at work, don't see anything happening to you in that situation. Just see yourself getting to the next destination. And that's bound to be what you become. Let me get up off this one. Y'all know what it is. I'm out.